The voice of sharing. 旅人ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hi, this is Arlene and you are listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Of course, today is a very beautiful Monday morning where I bring you news from our ASEAN Daily. First stop, of course, is a breaking news from Myanmar. As we all know, Myanmar just had its first general election for more than 3 decades, in fact. And the Myanmar people were joyful in voting, even with final results a days away. Among the voters braving long lines at polling places across Myanmar on Sunday, there was a sense of jubilation at taking part in what many describe as the first genuine elections in their lives. According to Yu San Mo, 63, voted the first time, say that they've been suppressed for a very long time by the government. This is their chance for freedom. After 5 decades of military rule and a series of rigged or cancelled elections, Myanmar's nationwide election appeared to proceed without violence, raising hopes that the country's 5-year transition to democracy had reached another milestone. Though the official tally may not be known for days, early results on Monday showed that opposition party National Democratic League leading in Yangon, which is headed by the Nobel Peace Laureate Daw Aung San Suu Kyi. And of course, it is leading in Yangon, Myanmar, and the capital Naypyidaw. On Monday morning, the Speaker of the lower house of Parliament, Tura Shweman, conceded defeat to a member of Ms. Aung San Suu Kyi's party. He posted a message on his Facebook. In an overwhelmingly rural country, the election, of course, will be determined by the countryside. Either they will win or lose. Those results are likely to be more slow in coming. Much remain uncertain about the outcomes of how the results were received by the military establishment that still retains the reins of power. By many measures, the elections have already been less than free and fair. Hundreds of thousands of people from the country's Muslim minority were disenfranchised by being taken off the voter rolls. Yet those who voted on Sunday said they felt a thrill knowing that their country might be guided by the will of people after so many years of military domination. More than 32 million people were registered to vote. More than 90 parties were registered to participate in the election, including many from ethnic minority groups that may play an important role in post-election haggling over a president who will be chosen by the upper and lower houses of parliament. Aung San Suu Kyi must overcome the skepticism among the elites in Myanmar about what may describe as a domineering management style and a lack of experience in an executive role. Meanwhile, the US also is concerned by far from perfect Myanmar vote. The United States welcomed Myanmar's landmark election yesterday but warned of important structural and systemic impediments to full democratization in the Southeast Asian nation after decades of military rule. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said that the massive turnout, which could see opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi's party catapulted to power, was a testament to the courage and sacrifice shown by the people of Burma over many decades. While these elections were an important step forward, they recognized that they were far more perfect They remain important structural and systemic impediments to the realization of a full democratic and civilian government. He also pointed out to a large number of unelected seats reserved for the military, the disenfranchisement of minorities such as Rohingya Muslim, and the arbitrary disqualification of certain candidates, especially Muslim ones. Millions of people cast their ballots for the first time in a quarter of a century, in an event heavy with history and filled with emotion. Early indications, of course, were an 80% turnout. Anyway, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss further on the political side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back. This is Arlene and you are listening to Durian ASEAN. As we all know, Obama is going to visit to Malaysia, and ahead of his visit, the US diplomat is making strong pitch for TPPA. Against the backdrop of the US President Barack Obama's forthcoming visit to Malaysia, the State Department's top diplomat for East Asia and Pacific has made a strong pitch for the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, whose full text was officially released yesterday for public scrutiny. The negotiations were recently concluded in Atlanta, Georgia. Daniel Russell, Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs, said Obama's visit is to underscore America's support for Asia's regional institutions aimed at enhancing security and prosperity while also advancing the U.S. strategy to rebalance to the Asia-Pacific region in all its dimensions. The president will be in the Philippines and Malaysia to participate in the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, OSHA for APEC, in the US-ASEAN Summit and the East Asia Summit, respectively. The engagement with ASEAN has promoted a trend towards reform that has helped these 10 countries towards economic integration, just as re-energizing APEC has helped the US bringing economies together around the Asia-Pacific. Most recently, 5 years of intensive negotiation for the TPPA has paid off with the conclusion of the landmark transnational agreement. Obviously, addressing the domestic gallery, Russell also presented TPPA as a trade deal which will support high-paying jobs and strengthen the American middle class in many ways, in fact. The TPPA set favorable new rules for economic engagement in industry that the U.S. strongly feel particularly strong in. It will reduce subsidies to state-owned enterprises abroad that make the businesses less competitive. He described the TPPA as a strategic agreement, the economic leg, and the crown jewel of the Obama rebalance strategy. On the other hand, we have ASEAN concluding its talk by the Defense Minister of Southeast Asia in Malaysia. But unfortunately, the talk ended without any statement amid the South China Sea row. Southeast Asian Defense Minister meeting had failed to agree on a closing statement for their summit amid a row over the Chinese activity in the South China Sea. Some of the nations attending the summit in Malaysia wanted the statement to include a reference to China's controversial land reclamation work. But the US officials said that China has lobbied hard for the issue not to be mentioned. China, in turn, accused certain other countries of interfering. Of course, this could definitely mean the US. In recent years, China has been aggressively staking its claim in the resource-rich South China Sea by reclaiming land and building airstrips and facilities on disputed reefs, angering neighbors who have overlapping claims. The US and others have accused China of militarization, but of course says that the construction is legal and for civilian purposes. There's a lot of finger pointing that is happening currently on the South China Sea, and it is not helping that even the US is in board trying to quote-unquote calm the situation. In fact, the latest clash of words comes days after the US angered Beijing by sailing a warship through an area of the South China Sea claimed by the Chinese. The US has announced that the Defense Secretary Ash Carter and his Malaysian counterpart would sail through the South China Sea on Thursday on board of the USS Roosevelt. Their route has not been made public, but is likely be seen by Chinese as further provocation. Another news by another meeting by ASEAN, which is a proposal has been made to set up an ASEAN Data and Information Coordination Center on road safety in order to help ASEAN achieve its mission to reduce road fatalities by 50% in the next 5 years. Malaysian Institute of Road Safety Research Director General Professor Dr. Won Shavun said that the center was important to coordinate and establish a standard on road accident data. This is because the data is the benchmark for more standardized and accurate accident statistics for ASEAN. The regional center would also facilitate all parties involved in the initiative, considering that it involves all the members in Southeast Asia. They are aware of the environmental conditions and policies or even methods used in each country are different. Hence, the need for a more formal and structured channel to carry out the effort effectively. During the recent 31st ASEAN Transport Ministers meeting, MIROS was chosen as one of the agencies to promote road safety in the region. Wong said the definition of death in an accident should be standardized among ASEAN countries. For example, in Malaysia, a person who succumbs to injuries in an accident following treatment for a maximum of 30 days in a hospital is classified as road accident fatality. But in some ASEAN countries, the estimated time is within 24 hours or 7 days. In fact, the coordination center will also be a major source for educational institutions such as university to widen the knowledge on road safety. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss on the economic and social-cultural side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back. This is Arlene and you are listening to Duran ASEAN. Welcome back with me again on our ASEAN Daily. Early on, I discussed further on the Myanmar election as well as the political news from Southeast Asia. Moving on to the economic news, that is definitely quite interesting because apparently, according to one associate professor at National University of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, he said to one of the international news agency that ASEAN companies are turning to cash and connection for gold. In fact, he said that globalization of companies from the ASEAN nation is already happening and many are doing very well. Leading the charge are family-owned conglomerates controlled by overseas Chinese. Most have expanded overseas mainly through real estate investments, but many second or third generation family companies have moved beyond property into other businesses, using their strong cash positions and webs of business connections. For example, Malaysia's Quark Group, which made its mark in sugar plantations and founded the Shangri-La hotel chain, is now a global player in logistics. Through its Carry Logistics unit, Singapore's city developments operating within the Hong Leong Group has a hotel business spanning the US, Europe, and the Middle East. Indonesian property giant Lipo Group has global land holdings and is expanding into healthcare. Thailand's top retailer Central Group owns department stores in Italy and other parts of Europe. Government-linked companies, particularly from Singapore, has also gone global. For example, the Capita Land is big in China, who knows? And Serbana Jurong also have launched a project to build an entire township aimed at offering comprehensive urban solution in Andhra Pradesh, India. Smaller private companies have started following the big players' footsteps. They have too, because however good you are within the region, we have to face it, the ASEAN market is still small. If you want to grow, you have to go to India, China, and other global markets. It is only natural that these companies tend to focus on Asia because that is where the growth is. They gain experience and develop expertise, build a track record. Then, in the future, they can enter other emerging markets in the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. This is a trend for ASEAN companies to enter global markets by identifying strong partners. These partners can be international institutions such as the International Finance Corporation or companies from capital-rich countries, especially China. ASEAN companies can form joint ventures or consortia by trying up with muscles big established companies to participate in projects domestically and third countries. Nevertheless, the biggest opportunity are in reaching the growing middle class in emerging markets. ASEAN companies should target lifestyle-related industries such as fashion, retail, food, and e-commerce. In these industries, niche players, if they are creative and innovative, can build up brands. Industries such as consumer electronics, which require mass production and cutting-edge research and development, may be harder to tackle. On the other hand, talking about social and cultural side of Southeast Asia, we have a new, I would say a mountain or monument that is now being turned an ASEAN Heritage Park. Is the Camiguin Treasure or the Mount Timpong Hibok Natural Monument is the 8th Natural Heritage Park in the Philippines. This is according to Heritage Park of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The Philippines announced also on Sunday, November 8. The minister unanimously approved the Mount Timpong Hibok Natural Monument of Camiguin as an ASEAN Heritage Park. And of course, when it comes to why it is considered as a heritage park, because it is known as the island of 7 volcanoes. Of this, Mount Timpong has the highest peak, with the active Mount Hibok is the largest volcano. The new ASEAN Heritage Park is home to birds such as the Camiguin hawk owl, Camiguin hanging parrot, yellowish bulbul, and golden yellow white-eye. Mammals such as Camiguin, forest rat, and forest mouse, and amphibians such as Camiguin narrow-mouthed frog. Medicinal trees such as the kalingak or Cinnamomus mercedoi and duguan or Meristica philippensis as the scientific names also thrive in Camiguin. Previous regional leaders named the following Philippine sites as ASEAN Heritage Parks: Mount Apo Natural Park, Mount Kitanglat Range Natural Park, Mount Malindang Range Natural Park, Mount Hamingguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary, Mount Iklit Bako National Park in Occidental Mindoro, Mount Makiling Forest Reserve in Laguna, and Tubataha Reefs Natural Park in Palawan. Camiguin may be such a small island, but it is highly significant to the biodiversity conservation efforts, and in particular with the current ASEAN National Heritage Park. Mount Linguin has so much potential in educating the public about endemic species while being a prime ecotourism destination. That's all from me today. Thanks for listening to Durian ASEAN. We hope that you continue to listen to us. Can always catch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen to us live at durianasean.com or via mobile by downloading the Durian ASEAN app. And I just want to wish all Hindu around the world a happy Diwali or happy Deepawali.